Hello, everyone. I have another awesome quality story for my audience, so let's get into it. So, this took place maybe 15 years ago. I was fairly young. So basically, we um we noticed that they were doing construction in an area across from where we live, pretty close to where we live. They were like building houses and stuff in there. We didn't think anything of it. Um, Then we started noticing a lot of weird things. We started finding rats in our house, and that's very odd because we never had rats before. So basically, what we had to do is call a exterminator, and put traps up and stuff like that. And it was pretty bad. It was the first for everything. We're very clean people, so we thought it was very odd. And then, it was quiet for a bit. We're not thinking anything of it, just a typical day living life, you know. And then, the exterminator would come back and check the rat traps and stuff. Um, so there was one particular day in the summertime where we were still seeing quite a bit of activity with the rats, to be honest. And we noticed somebody that lived like not that far away from us. Uh, I noticed that there was a lot. They had garbage piled up and they never took it out. So we had like a dumpster thing in our complex, but for some reason these people seemed to have their garbage like packed up in the backyard instead of taken to the dumpster, stuff like that. And, we walked by every day not thinking anything of it. Well, there was one particular day in the summer we decided to like go out somewhere for the day and just get out of the house because it was a nice summer day. So we did that. And we were walking by and we saw two big rats running across our feet. My one parent flipped out. We were a little bit scared. So basically, what we did is that because my parents were really good friends with these people, she knocked on the back door, and then they came out and kind of said, "Hey, what's up?" And then they said that my parents said there's a whole bunch of rats, and they're looking at us. No, we don't have rats. We don't have anything. No. And then next, they're moving the garbage around, and then like a whole bunch of like 10 rats started running all over the place. They started running, scattering all over the place. And then they're looking around. Oh, never mind. I guess we do. Oh, that's a little weird. We never had that before. They thought it was weird. So then they decided to clean up the garbage. They threw out the 10, 20 garbage bags they had to the dumpster. Then it was good for a bit. Um, and then it was quiet for a bit. Um, and then and then people started complaining that they were just running around and stuff, and they started seeing big rats running around and stuff, and they thought it was weird because we never seen it before. And then we eventually figured it out. We assumed it must have been where they're doing this. They're digging up the ground, where they were doing construction. Well, that used to be just forest, just forest. It was just like a beautiful forest, but they decided to make it all down to put in like houses in there and stuff. So that's what we figured. Everyone figured that that was the issue. Then we found out from the people that were in the boss of the corporation where we lived. They started noticing that a lot of people were asking for people to come in the house and set up mouse tracks. I guess a lot of people were asking for exterminators to come, and the person in charge started noticing that a lot of people are complaining about seeing rats and stuff, and they noticed it and stuff. So pretty much everyone in the complex asked for a exterminator. So the person in charge kind of looked into it. Um, eventually, eventually the rat issue did get a little better over time. Like it did get better, after the houses were like pretty much full, like when it was all houses in there, we didn't see any more rats. It was pretty quiet with rats now. They took off somewhere, they went somewhere else, or they made different homes somewhere else. So it wasn't too bad. It was just like a basically typical day. Then we decided one day, me and my sibling, we decided, you know what? We're gonna go over there and look at the houses. And so we went over there and looked at the houses, and we were like shocked. We were like, I'm sitting there in glory world, right? Because I'm sitting there and it's like it went from a forest to now a beautiful town place with a whole bunch of different houses in there, different styles of houses. It was really, really, really cool. We thought it was fascinating. And I was shocked because I remember before there was even houses and stuff, I used to go bike riding in there. It used to be like there used to be like a big forest and like a sidewalk for people to like walk the dogs and I used to go in there all the time and bike ride and stuff and get exercise. It used to be an awesome place to hang out. But I even think there used to be a park in there, a small little park. It was a pretty cool place. But not saying now that it's not super nice in there because it is super nice in there. Don't get me wrong now. It's like beautiful houses. It's pretty crazy how things can change just with a little bit of building and people building stuff. But yeah, that was a pretty crazy um experience with rats before. That was the first time I ever had bad experience with rats before. Because through my night life, I never really had experience with rats. Never, 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 ever. It was the first for everything. Never had problems with bugs, rats, or nothing. Fairly, very clean person. Like very clean. Like every time you eat, you clean up the dishes. You wash the floors. Typical clean stuff that people should do every day. If you do it every day, stuff like that. So there was nothing out of the ordinary. So it was like surprising, and I was younger at this time, and my parent wasn't very good dealing with that. There was another time in the incident I forgot to put in my story. There was one particular time where where we were all just sitting on the couch. We were just sitting there watching TV. It was quiet. I think it was around, I don't know, it could have been 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I don't know. It was very quiet. When you're just sitting there watching TV doing your own thing, and it gets very quiet because nobody's really talking. Everyone's focused on the show, and you're sitting there, and you're sitting on the chair with your sibling, and your mom's sitting on a chair, because you got a lot of furniture, and the TV, everyone's looking at the TV, either on the TV or on their phone. Well, nobody's paying attention. But then I start hearing like a little bit of scratching and start hearing a really weird noise. So then I look up and I see this I don't know if it's a rat or a mouse, but I think it was a rat because it was pretty big. It was pretty plumpy, and it looked right at us. We were all sitting there and we were all freaking out. My mom was freaking out, like my parent was freaking out, and we all freaked out. And then my parent ended up calling the exterminator and saying to the owner that we need a exterminator. And the exterminator came and said, okay, everything is dealt with. You shouldn't see any more. That was probably the last little bit. That's it. You're good now. And then pretty much after that, we never seen any rats ever again. It was pretty really quiet. It was pretty good. No rats, no nothing. Everything went back to normal. We didn't see anything. It was like silent because we were used to seeing something to nothing. It makes a big difference. But yeah, thank you for listening to my story. I really appreciate it. I hope my audience can relate to my story in some sort of way. I work very hard on my videos every day for everyone on YouTube to enjoy. Thank you, everyone. I will see you tomorrow with another awesome quality video. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.